Good afternoon, Patriots. This is Praying Medic, and this is my QAnon broadcast for Thursday, April 16th. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to the broadcast. Those of you following along at home, doing your own decodes, you can find Q's post on a number of different websites, including qanon.pub, qmap.pub, qalerts.app. If you have an Android device and you'd like to get notifications when Q is posting, QMap and QAlerts are two apps available in the Play Store. If you have an iPhone, you can get the Get Pushed app and then look for the QAlerts update. My theme for this broadcast is the end won't be for everyone. All right, little pep talk here. During the last 2 weeks, I've noticed a lot of people were believing this story that there were thousands of children who were going to be rescued from underground tunnels in New York. And when that didn't happen, when it turned out not to be true, a lot of people have given up hope for the restoration of justice. I had some conversations with people last night about it. Q never promised, never even hinted that thousands of kids were going to be rescued from tunnels in New York. Having said that, Q has told us that children and women who have been being trafficked have been rescued for the last 2 years, and that's an ongoing thing. But these rumors that there were kids or women being rescued in tunnels in New York, Q never hinted at that, and it was just urban legend and unverified rumors. So if you believed that that was going to happen because someone told it to you, well, I'm sorry that it turned out not to be true. But if you're disappointed and disillusioned, you have yourself to blame. There is no disappointment without expectation, and we create our own expectations based on what we choose to believe and what we listen to. And if we don't want to be disappointed, we need to become better able to discern the truth from error. Q's instruction to research for yourself, think for yourself, and trust yourself means we don't rely on urban legends and unverified rumors from people that they send us through social media. It means we have to research, find verifiable information. We have to think critically for ourselves and evaluate objectively. We have to set aside our confirmation bias and evaluate things objectively if we want to see the truth. And other people, after watching, millions of Americans lose their jobs, and after experiencing the erosion of personal freedoms, a lot of us are locked in our houses and we can't go out and do things. They've lost faith in the president. They say, hey, didn't Q say patriots are in control? Well, a lot of people say that God is in control, as if he controls the choices of every person on earth. Well, God does not control the choices of every person on earth. We are sovereign beings with our own free will. God does not control our actions. So all the murders and the rape and the drug deals and all the crimes that go on in the world, they're not God's will. God is not forcing people to do those things. People have free will. God is not responsible for senseless acts of violence. And it's the same thing with Q. When Q says patriots are in control, it's not as if every corrupt politician is under the control of the president and the military. They're not. They still have free will. They can still do evil, heinous, wicked things, and they are doing them. When Q says patriots are in control, he means good people have the upper hand in a fierce battle that is being waged over the destiny of the world. It does not mean that bad things won't happen. Steve Bannon said, if you think they're going to give you your country back without a fight, you are sadly mistaken. It is a battle every day, but good people have the upper hand. So if you're following Q only because you want to hear about pedophiles being arrested, I have some bad news for you. Over the next year, you're going to be very disappointed and maybe bored, because that's not first on the agenda. Those crimes are going to be prosecuted, but not right now. FISA is front and center right now. Those other crimes are going to wait. The Justice Department, the military, the President, and Q have chosen to discuss each topic in a certain order for a specific purpose. You may or may not like that, but the plan is not going to change to suit your preferences. Q intends to reveal evidence of evil practices, the likes of which are only found in fantasy movies. Q wrote this: coincidence, the Matrix movie, grew people as a crop used for energy and controlled their mind. Sound familiar? Wonder where they derived that idea from. Now comes the conspiracy label. The deeper we go, the more unrealistic it all becomes. The end won't be for everyone. The choice to know will be yours. Q. So the end is not going to be for everyone. There are going to be a lot of people who will drop off along the way over the next 2 or 3 years, however long it takes for Q and the president to expose all this corruption. A lot of people are going to leave, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to be here. I'm not going away. I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to quit. I will be the last man standing. When Q posts his last post, I will be here telling you, hey, guess what? Q just posted again. I am not going anywhere. All right, Q posted a link to this old tweet by Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. It was posted in 2006. And Jack wrote, making the good pasta, reading through some amazing parts of the satanic verses, the golden threads begin to intertwine. So was Jack just joking with this tweet? Was he just reciting literature? Or was there something more evil behind this message? Q wrote, it will be your choice whether to know. Q. Q has had a lot to say about Jack over the years. This is a post from 2018 at Jack, civilian puppet, player in the game. We play for keeps. Need help sleeping? How was your meeting with Pelosi? Protection offered? Life lesson, be smarter than those controlling you. T-minus 1, 2, 3, 4. Q. Yes, Jack Dorsey, Zuckerberg, Eric Schmidt, Nancy Pelosi, all the politicians and CEOs, they're all puppets. They are controlled by puppet masters, the people at the very top, the ones that hardly anybody knows about. The president tweeted this out this morning. This is a quote from Sean Hannity. Crazy Nancy Pelosi, you're a weak person. You are a poor leader. You are the reason America hates career politicians like yourself. And then the president added, she is totally incompetent and controlled by the radical left, a weak and pathetic puppet. Come back to Washington and do your job. All right, in his final interview before leaving the White House in December of 2016, Barack Obama spoke at length about his belief in the mainstream media's narrative that Donald Trump was a pawn of Vladimir Putin. And he gave a lot of argumentation and persuasion about why he felt that Donald Trump was doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin. Q pointed us to that video and said, go to the 1540 mark. I'm not going to include it in this video. And then Q says, think then, think now. In brackets, knowingly, Q. When you knowingly present false information, when you knowingly omit information, when you knowingly do certain things, that makes them a crime versus simple negligence, and that is a big deal. And you know, we know a lot more now. We know a lot more about the story with Russia collusion. Robert Mueller's investigation found no evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. Department of Justice IG report found abuses by the Obama FBI and Department of Justice in their surveillance of the Trump campaign. And I think U.S. Attorney Durham is going to find CIA involvement as well as overseas involvement too. And that's all going to come out. In the recently unredacted footnotes from the IG report, this is a report from Margot Cleveland, 9 key points from newly declassified report on FISA abuse. I found it interesting to note that Attorney General Barr is working with acting Director of National Intelligence, Rick Grenell, as they declassify these documents. So a couple of things that we learned from them. U.S. intelligence lacked derogatory information on Joseph Mifsud. Though the FBI claims that it opened its investigation of the Trump campaign based on information obtained from Joseph Mifsud, the FBI database showed no evidence that Mifsud was an FBI source. That's interesting. Why would they claim he was their source when their database says that he wasn't a source? This is another excerpt from this article. This is on the Federalist. FISA applications to surveil the president, Trump, and his campaign were based largely on information that was contained in the Steele dossier. Unredacted footnotes show that Christopher Steele was probably fed Russian disinformation. Even better, the FBI knew that Steele was probably being fed Russian disinformation, but they used that information anyway to obtain FISA warrants on Carter Page and spy on the Trump campaign. And Bill Priestap, although Christopher Steele was known to be an unreliable source of information, FBI head of counterintelligence, Bill Priestap at the time, agreed to keep that detail a secret in exchange for information. And then we have this. The FBI portrayed Christopher Steele's subsource as a man who was connected to a network of sources, but that subsource never claimed to have a network of sources. He considered the information he gave Steele to be bar talk, and the people around him, he said, were just his drinking buddies. They weren't a network of sources. So interesting. The FBI portrayed Christopher Steele's information in a light to make it seem as if it was credible and reliable, when in fact it wasn't. The Russian collusion narrative has both an overt and a covert purpose. Politicians and the media want Americans to think that our greatest threat is Russia, when in fact it's China. This is an old post from Q in 2018. Look here, Russia. Do not look here, China. And there's a link to a video where Vice President Mike Pence explains the threat that China poses to the United States. Deep State Expose Twitter account was queued for this video where Barack Obama admitted to training ISIL, also known as ISIS, forces. I'll let you listen to this video.
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Q posted a link to that video, that tweet. Who trained and supplied ISIS? What if Hillary had won? Who destroyed ISIS? Knowledge is power. Q. Note, HRC Hillary Rodham Clinton is in brackets. If she had won, there's no telling how powerful ISIS would be today. Thankfully, Donald Trump won. He destroyed ISIS. Knowledge is power. And Q posted a link to a video and said, clear your mind, heal Q. And this video, it's from Above and Beyond, and the title of the track is Great Falls. I'm not going to include it in this video because of copyright issues. If you are new to Q, or if you've been following Q for a while and you want to get some help getting up to speed on some of the issues that Q talks about, I have a book available called Calm Before the Storm. It is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Whether you're a seasoned researcher or a newbie, it will have information to help you. I cover a lot of the major themes that Q discussed in the first 2 or 3 months of the operation. There's a glossary in the back of the book that covers a lot of the most common acronyms, abbreviations, terms, agencies, and people that are mentioned by Q to help you get up to speed. All right, that will do it for today. Gets us caught up to Q. Please keep me and Denise in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the president in prayer. Love you all. Take care. I will catch you on the next broadcast.